Have you ever noticed how your voice changes when you talk to your boss? How your posture subtly shifts when someone you find authoritative or very attractive enters the room? Have you ever caught yourself replaying phrases in your head for hours after an important conversation, thinking, I should have said it like this, then he would have definitely appreciated me? It's this subtle, almost imperceptible feeling of constantly scanning others' reactions. This quiet but nagging voice in your head that asks, what will they think of me? We choose our clothes, our route for a walk, even a dish in a restaurant, subconsciously guided by an invisible map of others' expectations. We post not just a photograph on social media, but a carefully calibrated image of success, happiness, and correctness. This fear of judgment, this thirst for approval, lives so deep within us that we often mistake it for a part of our personality. We call it politeness, modesty, good manners, or simply the desire to be a pleasant person. But what if it's something else entirely? What if these are the walls of an invisible prison that we, without realizing it, build around ourselves brick by brick? The great Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, who dedicated his entire life to exploring the most hidden corners of the human soul, gave this prison a precise name, the persona. In ancient Greek theater, the persona was the mask an actor wore to portray a specific character. For Jung, the persona is our social mask, our perfectly tailored psychological suit that we put on every day when we go out into society. It is our role, the role of a diligent employee, a caring parent, a reliable friend, a witty conversationalist. It is the facade we present to the world to be accepted, to gain recognition, love, and, most importantly, to avoid conflict and rejection. In childhood, this mask is a vital tool for survival. A child, like a little psychological genius, quickly learns which version of themselves their parents like, which one earns teachers' approval, and which one allows them to fit in with friends in the yard. They put on the mask of a good boy or a good girl to earn praise, warmth, and avoid a cold look or punishment. This is a completely natural and necessary adaptation mechanism. The problems begin later as we grow up. We get so used to the suit, so fused with our role, that we start to forget what face is actually hidden under this mask. We begin to believe that we are this role. Our inner voice, our genuine, spontaneous feelings, our true, sometimes uncomfortable and strange desires, end up buried under a thick layer of others' expectations and social norms. We become professional actors in the theater of our own lives. We get so into the role that we no longer remember who we really are without the makeup and the spotlights. Life in the captivity of the persona is a life of constant, exhausting tension. We are afraid to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, feel the wrong thing. We are terrified of being inconvenient, strange, misunderstood, and therefore rejected. And for this fear, we pay the highest price imaginable, the price of our own authenticity. We live not our own unique, unrepeatable life, but its safe, edited, and approved by others draft. We renounce our true aspirations in favor of what is considered right and prestigious. We suppress our feelings so as not to disturb others' comfort. And one day, in a rare moment of silence, when all the applause has died down and the audience has left, we are left alone with ourselves on an empty stage. And it is then that we feel this deafening emptiness inside. We feel that we have betrayed something very important, something alive. We have betrayed ourselves. Jung said that the most terrible trap for a person is their unconscious relationship with themselves. And dependence on others' opinions is the most skillful and insidious of these traps. But how do we get out of it? How do we remove this heavy mask that has grown onto our face without being afraid of what we will see underneath? Jung was convinced that the path to freedom lies not through fighting the external world, but through a deep and honest journey within. This journey consists of 3 key steps, which we will take together today. It is a path from fear to freedom, from the persona to our true self, from the agonizing question, what will they think of me, to the main question of all life, who am I really? The first step on the path to liberation from others' opinions is the most difficult because it requires us to have the courage to look at ourselves honestly, without embellishment or excuses. This step is to recognize your persona. It means starting a conscious and impartial dialogue with yourself to learn to separate your true thoughts and desires from the roles you are used to playing on autopilot. Imagine that you have temporarily become an internal detective, an archaeologist of your own soul. Your task is not to judge, criticize, or blame yourself. Your task is simply to observe, to start noticing those very moments when, as if on command from an invisible director, you put on your social mask. You don't need to go to the mountains or sit in a lotus position for this. The laboratory for this research is your ordinary life. Start with simple observation. Remember your last meeting with friends. Did you really want to watch that blockbuster? Or did you just agree so as not to seem like a bore and not to disrupt the general harmony? And at work, do you really think your boss's new project is brilliant? Or did you just praise it because you're afraid of seeming disloyal? These moments, these microscopic acts of self-betrayal, are the work of the persona. Like an experienced and anxious diplomat, it constantly negotiates with reality, trying to smooth all corners, avoid any hint of conflict, and prevent the slightest possibility of disapproval. To begin this process of recognition, arm yourself with the right questions. In moments of choice, when you are about to say or do something, stop for 1 second and ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want to, or because it's expected of me? Is this decision dictated by my inner feeling, or by the fear of not being liked? Sometimes it's useful to ask yourself, whose voice is my anxiety speaking with right now? Is it the voice of your strict mother from childhood? The voice of your former partner who constantly criticized you? Or is it the faceless but all-pervasive voice of society that dictates how to properly live, look, and feel? At first, the answers to these questions may frighten you. You may discover with surprise and discomfort that a huge part of your life is a series of automatic reactions, dictated not by you. This can cause feelings of shame or regret. Do not give in to it. This is a completely normal reaction. Carl Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Awareness itself is the first and most important ray of light in the dark room of your subconscious. You don't yet know what to do with what you've seen there, but you are no longer blind. A very powerful tool at this stage is to keep a diary. Not to write beautiful essays about your feelings, but to impartially, like a scientist, record the facts. Get a notebook and call it My Persona's Diary. Write down specific situations in which you felt you betrayed yourself. For example, today at a family dinner, I agreed with my uncle in a political argument, although I actually think completely differently. I did it because I didn't want to spoil the evening and was afraid of seeming like an odd one out. Or, a friend asked to borrow a large sum of money, and I couldn't refuse, even though that money was saved for my vacation. I was afraid she would think I was greedy and get offended. This diary will become your personal mirror. Rereading it from time to time, you will begin to see recurring scenarios, your personal patterns of behavior. You will see your persona in action, in all its manifestations. Remember that this is not a one-day job. It is a daily practice that requires only one thing from you: honesty. Gradually, you will learn to catch yourself in the act. At the very moment when your hand is already reaching for the familiar mask, you will begin to notice how your body tenses when you lie to yourself, how your voice tightens when you say something other than what you really think. Your body is your best ally. It never lies. This process can be compared to learning a new language. At first, you don't understand a word. Everything sounds like incoherent noise. Then you begin to distinguish individual phrases, and over time to grasp the meaning, intonations, and nuances. It's the same here. You are learning the language of your soul, gradually separating it from the deafening noise of external voices. And the most important thing at this stage, your goal is not to fight your persona. Don't try to rip it off by force. This will only cause resistance and even more anxiety. Your task is to get to know it, to acknowledge its existence and understand its motives. Try to mentally say to it, "I see you. I know you are here to protect me from pain and rejection. Thank you for your service. But now I have grown up, and I want to get to know the one who is really behind you." This simple but sincere acknowledgement is the beginning of a great journey. It is the first step from being an actor playing someone else's role to becoming the director of your own life. After we have learned to see our social mask, when we have begun to notice in which situations it appears on our face, an inevitable and very anxious question arises. What is under it? If I am not my role as an ideal worker, not my image as a reliable friend, not my function as a model family member, then who am I? It is here, at this point of confusion and vulnerability, that we move to the second key step on the path to ourselves. We need to find our inner center. Carl Jung called this center the self. Try to feel this word, the self. It is not our ego with its ambitions and fears. It is not our social achievements or the list of our accolades. The self is our authentic, deep essence. It is the core of our personality, that quiet but unshakably confident voice within that always knows what is right for us and what is destructive. The self is our inner compass. If the persona is who we pretend to be to survive in the external world, then the self is who we really are even when no one is watching us. Dependence on others' opinions arises precisely when we lose connection with this inner center. Our compass breaks, the needle begins to spin helplessly, and in a panic we start looking for landmarks outside. We look at others to understand how to live. We read articles to find out what to feel. We follow trends to understand what to strive for. The opinions of other people become a map for us, by which we try to plot our life's course. But this map always leads to a dead end, because it was drawn for someone else's journey, not for ours. To find your inner center is to stop desperately seeking support outside and finally find it within yourself. It means learning to trust the whisper of your intuition more than the deafening shouts of the crowd. But how to do it? How to hear this quiet voice in the deafening noise of the modern world? The connection with the self is restored not through logic, not through analysis, and not through reading smart books. It is restored through silence and feeling. We are constantly surrounded by noise. Phone notifications, news feeds, podcasts, series, endless conversations. In this incessant hum, it is almost impossible to hear yourself. Therefore, the first and most important practical step towards your inner center is the conscious creation of a space of silence. Start small. Set aside just 10 to 15 minutes a day when you can be completely alone and in relative silence. Without a phone, without music, without books, just you and your sensations. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just breathe. At first, this may cause strong anxiety. Your mind, accustomed to constant stimulation, will begin to rebel. It will throw thousands of thoughts at you, unfinished business, plans, and worries. Do not fight this flow. Do not try to stop it. Just observe it, like clouds floating across the sky, without clinging to any of them. And here in the silence, behind this mental noise, you will gradually, not immediately, begin to distinguish something else. Barely perceptible sensations in the body, warmth in the chest, cold in the stomach, vague causeless emotions, intuitive impulses. This is the language of yourself. It speaks to you not with words, but with sensations. The second great path to the self is nature. Jung believed that nature is the greatest healer of the soul. A walk in the forest, contemplating the flow of a river, the view of majestic mountains. All this helps us disconnect from the social bustle, from the endless race for approval, and reconnect with something much larger than our small, anxious ego. In contact with nature, false masks and roles fall away by themselves. We remember that we are part of this vast, wise world, not just a cog in the social machine. The third path is creativity for the sake of the process, not the result. not to create a masterpiece and get thousands of likes, but for the very act of creation. Draw even if you can't. Sculpt from clay. Dance to music in an empty room. Write in a diary whatever comes to mind. Such spontaneous creativity is a direct channel of communication with your unconscious, with yourself. In these moments, it is not you who controls the process, but something inside you that guides your hand. By practicing these simple things, you will notice how your focus of attention gradually shifts. Instead of constantly asking yourself, "What will they think?" you will begin to ask yourself another, much more important and healing question. And what do I feel about this? Choosing a dress in a store, making a decision about a new job, responding to someone's invitation. You will begin to check these decisions not against external expectations, but against your inner response. Do you get a feeling of lightness, warmth, and expansion inside? Or, on the contrary, do you feel heaviness, cold, and contraction? These are the readings of your inner compass. It is never wrong. Finding a connection with your inner center is like coming home after a long, tiring, and meaningless journey through foreign lands. You suddenly realize that you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to earn love and approval. You are valuable just because you are. Your opinion matters because it is yours. Your feelings are valid because you feel them. From this state, a deep and unshakable calm is born. The storms of others' opinions and judgments may rage around you, but they can no longer sink you, because you have finally dropped anchor in your own soul. Recognizing your mask is the work of the mind. Connecting with your inner center is the work of the soul. But both of these processes will remain just a beautiful theory if we do not transfer them into the real world, into our daily actions. Therefore, the third decisive step on the path to freedom is the practice of small acts of freedom. This means starting to speak and act from your authentic I, not someday later when you become confident enough, but right now. Gradually, step by step, embodying your inner truth in specific life situations. This step is perhaps the most frightening, because it requires real action from us and takes us out of our comfort zone. We are afraid that by removing the mask, we will immediately face condemnation, rejection, and conflict. And this fear can be paralyzing. Therefore, the key word here is small acts. You don't need to start a revolution. You don't need to go to work tomorrow and tell your boss everything you think about him. You don't need to immediately break off relationships that are weighing you down. Such drastic movements will only create unnecessary stress and can lead to destructive consequences. Instead, start training your authenticity muscle in small, safe situations. Start small, almost imperceptibly. What could this be? For example, in a cafe with colleagues, when everyone orders an espresso after lunch, and you really want peppermint tea, just say, "And for me, a peppermint tea, please." Calmly, without excuses like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to have coffee," without an apologetic tone. Just as a fact. Just a calm and confident expression of your small desire. Or when you are asked for a favor, and you have neither the strength nor the time, instead of the automatic and forced, "Yes, of course," try to pause and say, "I need to think about it. I'll get back to you in an hour." And an hour later, after listening to yourself, perhaps say, "You know, I'm very sorry, but I won't be able to help this time. I really need some time for myself." What will happen at that moment? Most likely, nothing terrible. The world will not collapse. Your colleague will not stop talking to you. Your friend will most likely say, "Okay, I understand, no problem." Every such small act is a tiny but powerful statement to the universe. I exist. My desires are important. My boundaries exist. Choose the clothes that you like, in which you feel like yourself, not those that are considered fashionable or appropriate for your status. Listen to the music that touches your soul, even if your friends consider it outdated or strange. When you discuss a movie, express your own different opinion. But do it not aggressively, not for the sake of arguing, but with respect for the other's point of view. That's an interesting thought. But to be honest, I saw something completely different in this film. The essence of these small acts is not to oppose yourself to the world. The essence is to stop betraying yourself. Every such action, no matter how insignificant it may seem at first glance, strengthens your connection with yourself. You get practical, physical confirmation that being yourself is safe. Moreover, over time, you will begin to notice an amazing thing. People will start to treat you with much more respect. When you yourself value your time, your desires, and your opinion, others intuitively read this and start doing the same. A person who constantly adapts and apologizes radiates an energy of insecurity. A person who lives in calm harmony with themselves radiates an energy of dignity, and this unconsciously attracts. Jung spoke of the process of individuation becoming a whole, indivisible personality. And these small acts of freedom are the practical steps on the path of individuation. You stop being just a function, just a set of social roles. You become the author of your life. Of course, there will be difficulties on this path. Some people in your circle, accustomed to your convenient, reliable version, may react with surprise or even passive aggression. They might say, "You've changed lately," or "You used to be easier." At this moment, it is important not to get scared and not to retreat to the familiar mask. Calmly accept their reaction, but stay true to yourself. You can answer with a smile, "Yes, maybe. I'm just learning to understand myself and my needs better." This is not aggression, but honesty. And you will see that those who truly value you as a person will accept and understand these changes. And those who needed you only as a convenient function to satisfy their needs will eventually fall away. And this will not be a loss, but a great liberation. Start today. Find the smallest situation in which you can act a little more honestly with yourself. One small, tiny step, and tomorrow take another one. Gradually, these streams of authenticity will merge into the full-flowing river of your real life. And you will be surprised to find that it has become easier to breathe, that the chronic anxiety that was your eternal companion has loosened its icy grip. You will understand that freedom is not something that needs to be won in noisy battles with the world. Freedom is just a quiet but firm decision to be yourself. Having traveled the path from recognizing your mask to finding your inner center and the daily practice of small acts of freedom, we come to the main result of this journey. We gain true freedom, and this is not just a beautiful word. It is a completely different quality of life. A life without the constant, exhausting looking over your shoulder at others. What is this state? It is very important to understand that freedom from others' opinions is not arrogance, not selfishness, and not cold indifference to people. It does not mean that you suddenly stop listening to advice, considering the feelings of loved ones, or observing basic rules of politeness. On the contrary, true freedom is a deep, calm, and unshakable respect for oneself, which naturally gives rise to the same deep and sincere respect for others. As long as you are dependent on approval, you look at people as mirrors. You constantly peer into them, trying to see in their reflection confirmation of your value, your significance, your right to exist. Your relationships, in essence, turn into an unconscious transaction. I will be good, convenient, and right for you, and you, please confirm that I am worth something. This is an endless and tiresome game. When you find inner support, the optics change. You begin to see people not as judges or examiners, but as travelers, just like you, with their own fears, their own masks, and their own unique inner truth. You can listen to their opinion with sincere interest, but it no longer has absolute power over you. You can accept their criticism, extract something useful from it if it's there, but it can no longer destroy you. You become, as Jung said, a whole person, integrated. You are no longer fragmented into dozens of contradictory roles that you try to play simultaneously for different people. You have a core, a spine, and this fundamental change changes absolutely everything. You stop wasting a colossal amount of your psychic energy on empty anxiety, on endless attempts to guess what others will think, on replaying past and future conversations in your head. on self-flagellation for saying something wrong. This energy, which used to leak like water through your fingers, is freed, and you can direct it towards creation, towards creativity, towards building deep relationships, towards what is really important to you. Your life turns from a defensive strategy into a fascinating adventure. And here a great paradox occurs about which many wise men, including Carl Jung, wrote. As soon as you stop desperately chasing approval, you begin to receive it in abundance. But in a completely different quality, not as flattery or condescension, but as genuine, deep respect. People are intuitively drawn to authenticity. They are actually attracted not by the one who desperately tries to please, but by the one who calmly and with dignity lives their truth. Your calmness, your inner confidence, your integrity become magnetic. You stop being a weather vane that turns with every gust of wind from others' opinions. You become a lighthouse that stands firmly in its place, on its rock, and simply shines its unique light. It does not try to please the ships. It does not run after them. It just is. And it is its light that guides those who are looking for a way in the dark. A life without looking over your shoulder at others is not loneliness. On the contrary, it is the end of the deep loneliness we experience when we are surrounded by people but cannot be ourselves with them. It is the opportunity to build truly honest and warm relationships in which you are loved not for your convenient mask, but for the real you, with all your quirks and imperfections. It is the courage to follow your own path, to make your own unique mistakes, and to celebrate your own, even small, victories, knowing that the main judge and the main connoisseur in your life is you yourself. Jung believed that the ultimate goal and task of human life is individuation. That is, the full and comprehensive disclosure of one's unique potential, becoming who you were meant to be. And liberation from the power of others' opinions is not just a step, it is a quantum leap on this path. It is the return to yourself of the right to your own, one and only and unrepeatable life. Ask yourself right now in this silence, whose life am I living? My own? Or the one that is expected of me? And if the answer does not satisfy you, know this, you have everything to change it. The path always begins with a single step, with one honest look inside yourself, with one small but free choice. So we have walked this path together. The path from a vague sense of unfreedom to a clear understanding of its causes. We have seen our social mask, our persona. We have touched our true core, our self, and we have outlined the first, small but real steps to manifest ourselves in this world. And now we come to the most important thing, the goal for which this journey was undertaken. We come to the attainment of freedom, to a life in which you no longer need to constantly look over your shoulder at others to understand who you are and where you are going. What is this state? It is important to understand that freedom from others' opinions is not arrogance. It is not selfishness and not cold indifference to people. It does not mean that you suddenly stop listening to advice, considering the feelings of loved ones, or observing basic rules of politeness. On the contrary, true freedom is a deep, calm, and unshakable respect for oneself, which naturally gives rise to the same deep and sincere respect for others. As long as you are dependent on approval, you look at people as mirrors. You constantly peer into them, trying to see in their reflection confirmation of your value, your significance, your right to exist. Your relationships, in essence, turn into an unconscious transaction. I will be good, convenient, and right for you, and you, please confirm that I am worth something. This is an endless and tiresome game. When you find inner support, the optics change. You begin to see people not as judges or examiners, but as travelers, just like you, with their own fears, their own masks, and their own unique inner truth. You can listen to their opinion with sincere interest, but it no longer has absolute power over you. You can accept their criticism, extract something useful from it if it's there, but it can no longer destroy you. You become, as Jung said, a whole person, integrated. You are no longer fragmented into dozens of contradictory roles that you try to play simultaneously for different people. You have a core, a spine, and this fundamental change changes absolutely everything. You stop wasting a colossal amount of your psychic energy on empty anxiety, on endless attempts to guess what others will think, on replaying past and future conversations in your head, on self-flagellation for saying something wrong. This energy, which used to leak like water through your fingers, is freed, and you can direct it towards creation, towards creativity, towards building deep relationships, towards what is really important to you. Your life turns from a defensive strategy into a fascinating adventure. And here a great paradox occurs about which many wise men, including Carl Jung, wrote. As soon as you stop desperately chasing approval, you begin to receive it in abundance, but in a completely different quality, not as flattery or condescension, but as genuine, deep respect. People are intuitively drawn to authenticity. They are actually attracted not by the one who desperately tries to please, but by the one who calmly and with dignity lives their truth. Your calmness, your inner confidence, your integrity become magnetic. You stop being a weather vane that turns with every gust of wind from others' opinions. You become a lighthouse that stands firmly in its place, on its rock, and simply shines its unique light. It does not try to please the ships. It does not run after them. It just is. And it is its light that guides those who are looking for a way in the dark. A life without looking over your shoulder at others is not loneliness. On the contrary, it is the end of the deep loneliness we experience when we are surrounded by people but cannot be ourselves with them. It is the opportunity to build truly honest and warm relationships in which you are loved not for your convenient mask, but for the real you, with all your quirks and imperfections. It is the courage to follow your own path, to make your own unique mistakes, and to celebrate your own, even small, victories, knowing that the main judge and the main connoisseur in your life is you yourself. Jung believed that the ultimate goal and task of human life is individuation. That is, the full and comprehensive disclosure of one's unique potential, becoming who you were meant to be. And liberation from the power of others' opinions is not just a step, it is a quantum leap on this path. It is the return to yourself of the right to your own, one and only and unrepeatable life. Ask yourself right now in this silence, whose life am I living? My own? Or the one that is expected of me? And if the answer does not satisfy you, know this, you have everything to change it. The path always begins with a single step, with one honest look inside yourself, with one small but free choice.